Hello everyone, welcome to Hex1E. My name is Ralph. This time we're filming from my home again. You might guess why. But that doesn't really matter, because today we're doing something different. We're taking a look at a retro gaming setup from around 20 years ago. That was a pretty interesting time for PC gaming because of the advent of 3D graphics. Back then, you see, depending on your hardware, you could run one game or not. Games were written for a specific API, like the Voodoo Glide API, and although you purchased your brand new 3D capable gaming I don't know what, it's very possible that the titles you wanted to play really didn't work or weren't available for your system. Okay, let's do this. At first, we'll be taking a look at the specs. Face ID, perfect. We'll take a look at the specs of the system according to our eBay seller, which are kind of impressive, but at the same time a little bit weird. We've got an Intel Pentium PCIe at an astonishing 833 GHz. Then we've got 128 megabits per second memory. An NVIDIA 80 GPU, we've got sound, then we've got storage removed. Finally, it works with BIOS, then we're getting no keyboard. 833 gigahertz. Okay, this is heavy. Packaging seems to be okay. Lots of bubble wrap. This does bode well for the state of the hardware. Hopefully it means we'll have no cracked plastics and stuff like that. But we'll see in just a moment. Okay, this is our PC. And it's a pretty special one for me. Back then, around the same time, I had the same thing. Exactly this model, not exactly this model, I had a P2 version, but this appears to be a Pentium 3. But I actually like the case very much, and let's see what we've got inside. The mystery will be revealed. I'll be jumping a little bit ahead here. I'll be sparing you the cleaning process. Suffice it to say, the machine was filthy. It had one of the worst dust buildups I've ever seen. And it seems like a whole ecosystem had evolved in there. But sadly, most of it had already perished. Now, back to the hardware. As suspected, we've got a Pentium 3. In this case, an 866 MHz unit. Comes with a whopping 256 kilobyte of on-die cache, and it utilizes the faster 133 MHz frontside bus. Let's look at our motherboard next. The board is a pretty basic affair, with Dell back then, as many OEMs still do today, omitting every not absolutely necessary feature. It is based on the Intel 815 blank chipset, but Dell isn't using either the IGP nor the AC97 audio interface, and sadly only implementing 2 of the possible 3 RAM slots, limiting the maximum installable memory to just 1 GB of the supported 1.5. It also has to be said, though, that this system was designed for discrete graphics and audio, so not bolting on every conceivable chip for every conceivable future is kind of an acceptable cost-saving measure in my book. That missing RAM slot, though, that stings a bit. Next, let's take a look at our mysterious NVIDIA ATI graphics. As I had assumed, our weird bastard hardware is actually box standard one. In this case, an ATI Rage 128 Pro, a high-end GPU launched by ATI in 1999. According to Tech Power Up, it features 2 pixel shaders, 2 texture mapping units, and 2 ROPs, but has no vertex shaders at all, which limits the game compatibility to DirectX 6 and below. The chip on the card is clocked at 118 MHz. It comes with 32 megs of 143 MHz SDR memory, connected over a 128-bit white bus. All in all, it was a pretty capable card for the time. As for the sound card, it's a Yamaha XG YMF 724-V. As far as I was able to find out, is a value model of the JMF 724, which in turn was the first generation of the Yamaha DSXG family of audio chips and utilized the PCI interface instead of ISA. Aside from being compatible with the AC97 standard, it included a 64-voice wavetable synthesizer. Compared to the non-value model, ours lacks the digital outputs. This Yamaha chip is a relative good performer and offers great value. For communications, we have a Linksys LNE 100TX fast Ethernet network card. Finally, we have some cheap Win modem. Anybody remember those? Yesterday I spent most of the afternoon and into the night cleaning this thing up. While I had originally planned to test or even boot up the system before doing this, it was so filthy that this wasn't possible. So we're gonna put everything together and make our first boot. This is our nearly assembled case. It still has some scuff marks over here and here, for example, but it's definitely better than it was before. We have our case here. This is from the inside, which is what we're going to take care of now. Okay, now that we have our hardware assembled, let's give this poor CPU some loving. Before cleaning it, we didn't have any thermal paste on there. We had like a thermal rock. But this one is gonna be just what the doctor ordered. I'm always amazed that building a PC has changed so little in the past 20 or 30 odd years. I know that ATX is a standard and so on, but with so many advances in tech and so many players, I wouldn't be surprised if somebody hadn't thrown everything overboard. I kinda remember Intel with its ill-fated BTX standard, I think, but nothing really happened there either. Anyway, back to our system. Now the moment of truth. Okay, cross your fingers. And we've got a system, a booting system. Okay everyone, I'm gonna leave it at that. And I'll be working on the machine on and off in the coming weeks. Once I have something new to report, you'll be getting a new video. I hope you liked this video. If you did, please leave us a like. And if you don't want to miss any of our future content, including the second part of this one, consider subscribing to the channel and hit that notification bell. My name is Ralph, and I hope to see you next time here at ATX 1E.